Companies will sometimes change a game's box art when it's brought over to a different country to appeal to a different region's taste. So today, I'm going to show you guys a couple of box art changes. I've been playing Link's Awakening lately, so let's look at this game's box art. This is the version that the US, the UK, and other Western countries got, and this is the original Japanese version. The Japanese version looks so fun and lively compared to the Western version. Link is jumping in the air, you got this really cool background shot with the windfish egg, everyone looks like they're having a good time, there's so much color, it's awesome. Then you've got the Western version. It's just the game's logo. It's not even an original logo. They copied the same style from the A Link to the Past box art. I know, Link's Awakening began as a Game Boy version of A Link to the Past, but that doesn't mean you have to make an equally boring box art. Though to be fair, I can't blame either of these because boring box art is kind of a staple of the early Zelda games. This is the box art for the Japanese version of the first Zelda game. It's pretty cool. Link is taking a knee, looking like he's ready for battle, and in the background you can see the land of Hyrule where the game takes place. A really solid piece of box art. Then, when the game was localized, this is what the West got. It's just a picture of an emblem with some of the items from the game inside of it, and then the title of the game. No Link, no Zelda, no Hyrule, but we had to let you know that this game includes invaluable maps and strategic playing tips. The Japanese box art for Zelda 2 isn't as good as the first games are. The background is a lot less detailed and interesting. There's just a castle on a cliff and a tree, but it's still a whole lot better than the version that America got. Someone at Nintendo of America must have really loved the color beige, because it seems like every Zelda game used this background color for its American art in the early days. We were finally freed from the curse with Majora's Mask, but even then, this box art isn't that great. Like, heck, it's doo-doo compared to the absolutely beautiful Japanese cover. The way the Japanese cover manages to balance a ton of vibrant colors with an incredibly dark and foreboding atmosphere, thanks to the pitch black shadows, is brilliant. Then you've got the American box art, which is just the logo with rays of light coming out of it. No worries for all of my fans of the color beige, because Wind Waker's American box art had you covered. At the very least, they spiced it up a little bit by having a slightly opaque image of Link in there. Now, things get a little more interesting once we get to Twilight Princess. Yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling the American cover. They both do the whole light and darkness separated by a diagonal thing, but with the American cover, you get Link and Link's wolf form side by side, which is really cool imagery. And continuing on from there, I think I might prefer the American Skyward Sword box art too. There's more going on in the Japanese cover, which is the same art that is used for the Switch HD version of the game that we got, but the original American Wii box art has this gold background with an image of Fi that just looks really dignified and elegant. This is how you do simple things right. So interestingly, Breath of the Wild has the same cover in Japan as it does in the US, but in the UK and in many European countries, Breath of the Wild has a completely different box art. I mean, both box arts are just Link standing on a mountain, but the individual styles are very different. Personally, I prefer the American and Japanese cover. The lighting is so much more interesting. You're looking at Link's back as he's facing the sunlight, so you get some dark shadows which not only look cool, but the dark shadows also make the game's logo easier to read. Then in the distance, you can see the gorgeous sunlight that starts off very bright and warm at the top of the picture, but gets darker as you go downwards, making a nice contrast with the darker and colder mountains and chasms. I also love how Link is standing on the tippity top of a rock right on the edge in this picture as opposed to the European cover, where you can see he has a few more steps to go. In the American and Japanese cover, it looks like Link is ready to head off. His sword is drawn and his shield is out, which only furthers that point. In the European cover, he looks like he's just chilling. He's resting his arm on his sword, his shield is on his back, and he looks bored here. If you're gonna have him tilt his head and look at me like that, at least give him a confident smirk or a face of determination or something. Instead, he's looking at you like, dang, we really gotta jump off this cliff now, huh? I don't mind the pose or the fact that he's just kinda chilling there. In fact, I enjoy it when box arts do different things other than the typical heroic poses that you see all the time, like man slowly walking towards the camera with a gun in his hand. Breath of the Wild is a big game, so it makes sense that Link would take a quick break to relax and decompress. I don't think this is a bad piece of artwork, in fact, I still like it. I just feel like they had a little bit of wasted potential here. Okay, so I've talked about Zelda for a while, so let's take a look at Zelda's sister franchise, Super Mario. This is the original Japanese box art for Super Mario Bros., and it's really good. You've got all of the enemies, plus Mario, Toad, Peach. Doesn't quite look right, and Bowser doesn't look anything like Bowser, but it's a good cover. Now, here's the American box art. It isn't nearly as colorful or as detailed as the Japanese cover, but I honestly like this box art more. I really like how they use Mario's actual in-game sprite here. Old games often used box art that looked nothing like anything in the actual game, simply because game consoles just didn't have the power to do art that was that complex. So I appreciate Nintendo just being transparent, laying it all out on the table, and showing us exactly what you're getting out of this game. My only complaint is that there's a lot of empty black space in the bottom of the box, but besides that, this is iconic. Now, Super Mario Bros. 2 is an interesting case because America got this game before Japan, which is why this game is called Super Mario USA over there. Well, technically Japan did get this game first. It was a game called Yume Kojo Doki Doki Panic that it later got a Mario skin when it was released here before getting a Japanese release as well. But anyway, I don't know, I'm not too crazy about the American cover. It's very similar to the Super Mario Bros. 1 cover, just with normal looking artwork this time, and oh, I guess it's regular Mario with a turnip this time instead of Fire Mario. There's less empty space, which is nice. Apparently this game has Mario Madness, which, hey, sure. The Japanese box art is pretty cool. We actually get a rare look at angry Mario, so that's neat. Princess Peach looks like her modern self, which is a nice improvement over the original Super Mario Bros. Japanese box art. However, like the American cover, the Japanese box art isn't original either, as this box art is just the Doki Doki Panic cover, but with the Mario skin. Still though, I think I prefer the Japanese cover for this game. For Super Mario Bros. 3, it's kind of a similar deal. The American cover is just Mario on the cover, but this time he's got his raccoon suit, which is nice. And the Japanese box art is a complete full picture with other characters in the background, and I think I prefer the Japanese version. This one has Luigi in it. Seems a tad strange that this is the first Super Mario Bros. Game with both of the brothers in the box art. Once again, for Super Mario World's American cover, it's just Mario on the cover with an item that's relevant to the game on a plain background. But hey, at least Yoshi's here too. The Japanese box art is probably the best box art in the series so far. It's called Super Mario World, so an image of a planet behind Mario with a ton of enemies and locations that you'll find in the game is a fantastic inclusion. The really bright yellow background is a bit much. I would have gone for a white background like the Japanese Super Mario 64 box art, or a more neutral color to really help the vibrant colors of the enemies really pop, but still, this is a stellar cover. Speaking of the Japanese Super Mario 64 box art, I think I prefer this one to the American Super Mario 64 cover. I don't know why, but I've always just really liked the way a ton of bright and vibrant colors look on a white background. For new Super Mario Bros., I prefer the American version. The Japanese version is just Mario and Luigi jumping. I mean, I get it, this was the big return to 2D Mario after years of 3D stuff, so they kept it on the simple side. But I much prefer how the American box art shakes things up a bit by having Mega Mario on the left side of the box. It's just visually more interesting having this huge Mario running around stomping everything, and it also continues the tradition of using the box art to highlight one of the new power-ups introduced in the game. There aren't many significant differences in most of the other mainline Super Mario Bros. Games. For some reason, the Japanese cover of Super Mario Galaxy 2 has the game's logo on the bottom of the screen instead of at the top like the American version. I'll just say I prefer the American version because you can see more planets in the background. I didn't mean for this video to just be me talking about Zelda and Mario box arts. I wanted to dabble into some other games, but hey, there's always time to talk about more box art next time.